Prabhatam, Namo Namaha. Good morning, wherever you are. Good afternoon. So, as usual, we'll start with the recap of what we have covered so far. So we started with Patanjali Muni started with saying that yoga is the process by which you still or control the chitta vrittis, the activations. So when we have that kind of a situation and when we are able to control and still the activations, then we are said to be in yoga. When the activations are rampant and they are going on and you have no control over it, then we are not in yoga. We are like how we are right now. So that's what he quickly said in that executive summary in the first 4 sutras. And then he said, oh, 99.9% of the human beings are not in yoga. We understood that straight away because we are not in yoga and our friends are not in yoga. Our neighbors are not in yoga, all given to these activations that are taking place in the head all the time. So we said, how can we not identify ourselves? How can we get to that point of being in a state of yoga? So then he identifies 5 activations. So he says some of them can be painful, some of them need not be painful. So that's what he says by saying vrittayaha, pranchatayaha, klishtaha, aklishtaha. So they can be painful or not painful, these activations. And then he defines those 5 activations as pramana, evidence-based, viparyaya. Viparyaya is misconception, vikalpa, kalpa, vikalpa. Kalpa is imagination, vikalpa is viparita kalpa, which is delusion. Nidra, sleep, and smritaya, smriti, which is memories. So and then he has given definition for each one of them. We already covered all that. So from there, sorry, scrolled away too fast. We saw all that, all those definitions we saw, and then we said, oh, we have all this. Now, what can we do? How do we get over all these activations? So that's where he defines abhyasa. So he defines abhyasa and he says that you must have that vairagya abhyam, that sense of dispassion must come to you with everything in the world. Instead of being ishifying, instead of sticking to everything. Right? You are sticking to everything, right, Priya? That ishifying must go.
Yeah.
Yes. So that ishifying must go. That is what we are seeing in the so many sutras. We are saying, how can we get rid of this pasting ourselves with everything? This is true for everyone. You must see your life and see how you have pasted yourself with another human being, whether it be your parents, whether it is your children, whether it is your grandchildren, whatever conditions they may have, how you have pasted yourself there. And you are saying, oh, I cannot get rid of this. That is foolishness. So, with those are the activations which are making you paste yourself like that. So then he defines abhyasa and how with how this abhyasa, when it is dirghakala, nairantarya, satkara sevito, dhrita bhumihi, how it will become a firm foundation? When will it become very firm? When it is done for a long period of time, years together, maybe an entire lifetime. Nairantarya, without interruption, not even interrupting for a day. No interruption, not giving any excuse for interruption. Satkara sevito, with that kind of a intent, with a good intent. When you do this, then that abhyasa will become firmly established. So all that he has defined, we have seen enough of all that. Okay. So then in Sutra 7, starting from in Sutra 17, he says, if you do all this, if you are in this kind of a situation where you have that abhyasa, where you have that vairagya abhyam, blah, 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 then you continue to do this. What do you continue to do? Vitarka, vichara, ananda, asmita, anugamat. From that will flow the samprajñataha state, or the supreme wisdom state, where you have divine connectivity, where you are in samadhi all the time, where you have divine connectivity. Samadhi means divine connectivity. We are not talking about anything else. We are not looking at any lower level samadhi. So when you have the divine connectivity, which means any questions that you put out to the divine will come back to you with an answer. So that's what we saw in 17. And then we saw a few sutras, 18, 19, and 20, what states you might pass through before you get to samprajñataha state. That is where we saw in 18, we said sanskara seshaha. You may have, your activations might have stilled, but you still have the klesha and karma of the past and present. That big bundle is still there. That is what he's saying, that leftover samskara is still there. So you have to wipe that out. So those are all states before you get into the final samprajñataha state. Then following that, he is explaining okay, how do I get to this state? How do I get to the samprajñataha state? And he says, oh, I put in effort, but but things are not happening. So that's where he defines, saying that what you attain, what you get, will be directly proportional to the intensity of your effort. If you get up only on Sundays in the morning at 5:30 to attend the class, and rest of the days you sleep until 10 o'clock in the morning, to that effect only you will get. So that effort has to be there every day, every moment. So based on that intensity, whether that intensity is light, mridu, madhya, adhika, adi, whether it is light, moderate, or very high, very highly intense. Depending on that, you will attain states. That's all he's saying. So we covered that. And then we also saw in Sutra 23 to 29, if he is giving an alternate approach, either I can do all this, watching the activations, bringing that vairagya abhyam inside me, and also having this abhyasa factor coming into me, and I do this. Or he says, by complete surrender to the divine, complete surrender to that unmanifest divine, Ishvara. That's what he is saying. In that sutra, in 23 to 29, in 7 sutras, he has defined Bhakti Yoga. Beautifully, it has been defined in 7 sutras, in 7 lines. Every single thing about Bhakti Yoga has been spoken about. If you understand all the 7 sutras, you have mastered Bhakti Yoga. And you will also understand whether you have it in you or not. And to have Bhakti Yoga, what is all that you should have? What is all that should be in you? What is all that you should practice? That's he has given in 7 sutras. Number 1, in Sutra 23, he says, by surrender to the divine. This surrender, most of the people don't understand. This means the surrender of the ego. The ego has to completely go, which means you have to be in a state of observer all the time, not in the state of doer. With me, Priya?
Yeah.
Yes. So for some, it comes automatically. For the Nayanmars and Arvars and so many other great sages and saints, it came to them automatically. It was natural to them because they had that kind of samskara from the earlier birth. When we don't have that, we have to accept that I don't have this. And then see what can be done. But anyway, Ishvara is saying, Ishvara is the person who can take you to that state of cosmic connectivity and self-realization. How? Just by surrender. Just by surrender. How a criminal, we say, right, when the criminal is at large, we put out notices saying, hey, criminal, surrender to the police, surrender to the authorities in law, the law authorities. That kind of a surrender where you come, put down everything. What is he has got his arms, guns or knives or pistols or swords or whatever. He has to disarm himself. This is an external disarming. Internal disarming is that ego, which is telling you that you are the doer. That is the disarming. That has to dissolve. Then in the next sutra, he says, by nature, Ishvara is outside the fruitioning of karma klesha cycle. We are all in the cycle of karma klesha cycle. That is why we keep coming again and again. Ishvara is outside that karma klesha cycle, fruitioning of the karma klesha cycle. That's what he says in the next sutra. And following in the third statement, he says, Ishvara is the source of all supreme knowledge, supreme wisdom. And then in the fourth one, he says, Ishvara is the person who is the guru of everyone. Now and earlier, at all times, Ishvara is the only guru. There is no other physical guru. Please understand this very clearly. So this avidya should go, that there is a physical guru, that avidya should go. You have to see all these people who are teaching and propounding and leading various religious institutions and things like that as tools of God. Just like you, they are tools of God, of the divine. That is all, nothing more, nothing less. You are a tool of the divine, I am a tool of the divine, and so are all these people who are in saffron clothes or white clothes, leaders of spiritual movements or leaders of religious movements. It's the same thing. The only guru is that unmanifest divine. Understand this very clearly. If you have any questions, ask me. I also told you last week when we went through this sutra, I said, when this sutra hit me, and within 4 or 5 months, I was able to walk away from my guru. And this happened in somewhere in August of 2020. And since then, my spiritual growth has been exponential. Walking away from my guru and adopting and embracing the unmanifest divine as my guru, my growth has been exponential. So it is there for everyone. And for that, you have to shed your avidya. This avidya of there is a physical guru. And then he says the vibration, the communication of Ishvara is pranava, that is Om. And then he says by vibrating on the pranava, we are able to understand its meaning. And finally, he says it is from there the ability for the Chetana, for every chitta has a Chetana, right? For every living person, there is a chitta and a Chetana. For every non-living thing, there is only a chitta, there is no Chetana. That is why we call it a jada. A stone is a jada, a piece of wood is a jada, because it has no Chetana. It doesn't have any kind of Chetana. It doesn't have any kind of artificial intelligence. It cannot reprogram itself. So it is from there, from where? From this understanding and from this surrender, the ability for the Chetana, for every chitta comes from there. And in that communication, there are no obstacles. In Sutra 29 that's what he is defining. And he says, Tataha Pratyak Chetana. Pratyak means inwards, looking inwards. Chetana is all inwards, right? The artificial intelligence comes from the connectivity of the divine. It is all inwards. Pratyak Chetana. It is inward. That is why we say Pratyaksha Darshana. Pratyaksha Darshana, when you say, it is only for that person, not for the whole universe. And even if it has to happen for the whole universe, it will not be on the sky. It will be inside, internal. It is internal. And yes, and he's saying as the last part of that, antaraya abhavaha cha. So he's saying there can be no obstacles. Obviously, from any communication from the divine, there can be no obstacles. The divine will send the communication to us, but it is us who stop that. So we pretty much stopped there, I think. Correct? I think we stopped there. Or we just went into the next sutra, 29. So Sutra 21 through 29 is the second section. The first section is until Sutra 20. So this chapter itself is divided into 3 sections. The first section is until Sutra 20. Second section, where he is defining Ishvara and Bhakti Yoga and all this Abhyasa, is actually the second section. So then, now we will be going to the third section. The next 20 odd sutras are going to be the final section of this chapter. So far he has explained in the nature of God in the second section, and he has also given you an introductory overview of a quick summary of what is yoga all about and how we can attain it, right? But now Patanjali Muni is coming to reality. What is reality? He is coming to our level. That is reality, correct? Coming to our level and seeing from there is reality, because 99.99% of the humans are going to be in this state. So he has finally come down to reality. Now from now on, you are going to see reality. Now from now on, you are going to see yourself in all the sutras. If you have not seen yourself in the earlier sutras, from now on, each and every sutra is for us, for each and every one of us. So what is reality? Reality is most of us, if not all of us, are in the state of mental or physical imbalance. Agreed? There is something going on, either in the head or physically, or both.
Yes.
And what is the nature of mental or physical imbalance? is what is going to define shortly. When a person is in a state of physical or mental imbalance, they are simply not in a state of being a pure observer. The idea of yoga means, we said, being a pure observer, correct?
Observer, yes.
So when you are not, when your physical and mental abilities are not there, it does not help you, does not cooperate with you. How can you be an observer? It is not possible to be an observer. So that is, the mind gets anxious thinking about so many things, and some part of the body is failing or aching and not letting us to be a pure observer. So Patanjali Muni goes on to say how you should work with it. How can you extricate yourself from this physical and mental imbalance? That is what is going to define from here on. So he says, start with moderation. Moderation in what? He will define that. And moderation will lead us to the ability to be one-pointed in focus. We want focus in life, correct? So far, why we are not even able to see the activations? Because we are distracted. Once we begin to focus, once the distractions are, we are able to control the distractions and able to focus, we will see all these activations. So that's what he's saying. The moderation in life will lead us to the ability to be pointed and in focus. And that one-pointed focus will in turn help us to become a dispassionate observer in time. To become a dispassionate observer in time. In time means Dirgha Kala. Please understand that. It is not tomorrow, it is not day after tomorrow, it is going to take time. Because for 25 years, 30 years, 35 years, 40 years, 50 years, I'm going to be 70 shortly. 70 years, 75 years, 80 years. We have been living a different life. So, though all those things have to be slowly, all those wrinkles have to be slowly taken out. So it is going, that is why I'm saying in time. But you should not give up hope. It can happen to anybody. Can you hold on for a second, please? Just a second. My dog is asking for attention. Hold on one second. Okay. Sorry for the interruption. So we will move on to the sutra. So the one-pointed focus, when it merges into whatever the subtle domain is, from there we will be able to get the cosmic connectivity, which is called samadhi. And what is the nature of samadhi, etc., is explained later in this section of the first chapter. We are in the third section of the first chapter. So he's going to explain the various stages to samadhi. All that he's going to explain later on. So that is where we are. This is just a quick summary of what we are going to cover the next 20 or 25 sutras. So now we understand that we are all in a state where we are unable to focus. And so he is first saying, what are the reasons that we are unable to focus? So that is what he is saying in Sutra 29. We will see that. In Sutra 29, as you can see, he says, Vyadi Stayana Samshaya Pramada Alasya Avirati Bhranti Darshana Alabda Bhumikatva Anavasati Tatvani Chitta Vikshepastehe Chitta Vikshepastehi Antarayaha Vikshepastehi Vikshepastehe Antarayaha. So let us see what it says. Vyadi, we know Vyadi means disease. Stayana, we saw all this. We just did the first part of this sutra last week. Mental inertia, that's what we saw. Samshaya means doubts, being doubtful, having all kinds of doubts. Whether will this work? Those kinds of things. All this being, so many people are saying so many things, so many discourses are being conducted, but no change is happening to me. Now Kumar comes and says, if you study Patanjali Yoga Sutra, everything will change. How is this possible? The doubt, these are the samshaya. So at the end of every class, I keep asking, at the end of every sutra, I asking, samshaya hasti va? Do you have doubts? That's what I ask. Pramada is carelessness, being absolutely careless or trivializing things. When I say, I want 50%, I give a piece of vegetable and say, I want 50%. You give me 78%, or you take 70%, give me 25%. I said, hey, I asked for 50%. What is this?
It's okay.
It's okay. Correct. Do I have to take a weighing machine or a scale, measure it perfectly and get it? That is what I am calling as carelessness, trivializing things. Priya, you should understand this very clearly. Alasya, laziness. We know that very well. We don't have to explain. Avirati. Avirati is going after sensual pleasures. Seeking all kinds of sensual pleasures. Bhranti darshana is complete delusion, or one has gone mad, kind of. Alabdha bhumikatva. So alabdha bhumikatva, it's a very interesting thing, is the fear. It is the fear that whatever has been attained, one cannot maintain it in our spiritual quest. I attained something materially or spiritually, and that fear that I won't be able to keep it afloat, maintain it. That fear, that is alabdha bhumikatva. Anavasati. Anavasati is anavasati tattvani. That is how we read that. Tattvani. Anavasati tattvani.
Navasti.
I'm sorry. Alabdha bhumikatva is the feeling of a sense that you are unable to reach your goal or reach what you wanted. Okay, I switched the two. Alabdha bhumikatva is being able to, that feeling that, oh, I am not able to attain what I have set my eyes on something. I wanted to become a millionaire and I am not able to get it. So that is alabdha bhumikatva. Anavasiti tatvani is the fear that whatever has been attained will not stay with me. I cannot maintain it. It will just go away. That fear. Then we will go on to the last. Chitta vikshepastehe antarayaha. Antarayaha means obstacles, impediment, etc. All these things, all these things, diseases, mental inertia, doubts, carelessness, laziness, the aspect of seeking sensual pleasure all the time, and feeling that the goals that you have set for yourself you cannot reach, alabdha bhumikatva, and anavasati tatvani, that whatever you have attained, you won't be able to maintain. All these things or become the impediments. That is vikshepastehe. All these things become the impediments for the chitta, for the programmed entity to extricate itself from the activations. We want to stop the activations, and these are all the things which delude you and prevent you from getting out of the activations or watching the activations and becoming a pure observer. Is it clear?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Priya had some questions last week. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. Understood.
You're clear now?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving to 31. Dukkha daurmanasya angame jatva shwasa prashwasa vikshepa sahabhuvaha. Sahabhuvaha means saha. In Tamil we say, oh, you're saha. That comes from Sanskritam. Saha. Saha means associated. Somebody next to you. A group of people. All that. Ramaha Lakshmanayena saha vanam gacchati. So what does that mean? Rama went with Krishna to the forest. Lakshmana, sorry. He went with Lakshmana to the forest. Okay. So saha means it can be more than one person also. So saha bhuvaha means dikka daurmanasya. All these things are also going to come along with whatever we have seen in the earlier sutra. These are also accompaniments. What are the accompaniments? Dukkha, sorrow, misery. That is dukkha. If we get something, we are happy. If we don't get that, then we are in dukkha. So dukkha, misery is the meaning of dukkha. Daurmanasya, despondency, being despondent. Angame jatva is trembling. There is tremor in the body. Shwasa, prashwasa. So there is irregular inhalation, exhalation exists also. So all these things, the vikshepa sahabhuvaha. Vikshepa, the vikshepa is delusion or irregular, both meanings are there. So the irregular vikshepa, actually you should read it as vikshepa shwasa prashwasa. That is irregular inhalation and exhalation. That's what you see when you are in fear or when you are in anxiety, when you don't have answers to the questions life is posing you. The breathing becomes shallow and it becomes irregular. But we are not paying attention to that. So we don't even know. So is this clear on these two sutras, 30 and 31? Any questions before I move on? Clear?
Yeah.
Sahabhuvaha means all this is associated with.
All this is associated. All these things come along with what we already saw.
Okay.
It's like buy one, get one free. So we'll move on to any other question?
No.
Okay.
Buy one, get many free.
Yes.
Many free.
And we have not bought one, we bought many. So buy many, get many free.
Plenty.
We'll move on to Sutra 32. So now he is going to give us a prescription as to how we can overcome what we have seen in 30 and 31. So 30 and 31 is not theory. Please identify all that you have with you. In 30 and 31 is what is a sutra of for each individual. So you have to see what are all the things among them that I have. Only then you can work on those things. It is very easy to say, oh, Priya has this, Shobana has this, Meena has, it's very easy for me to say that. But I have to look at myself. Those two sutras are applicable to each of us, and we have to identify those components in us. So now, how to get over this? Tat pratishedartham eka tattva abhyasaha. Remember this again, this abhyasa has come. This is not going to leave us. Pratishedartha means the tendency to oppose. So, or how to deal with it. Eka tattva means one pointed focus. Eka means one. So with one pointed focus. So we can get over this with one pointed, the practice of one pointed focus. That's all he's saying.
Oppose what?
Huh?
Oppose what?
Oppose all this that we have seen in 30 and 31.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Oppose or get over.
So it's kind of a remedy, right? It is giving the problems
Yes.
why we are not
First,
able to
Yes, 30 and
so
31. We
defining the
stated
problem.
the problem, and from
Problems.
32 he is giving a solution. That is how the entire sutra and entire Patanjali Yoga Sutra will be like that. Most of the places it will be like that. So with the practice of one pointed focus, we can get over all this 30 and 31, whatever we have discussed. So, and then he is going on and saying, okay, what is that practice? This is a very important sutra. Please mark this. 133 is a very important sutra. Maitri Karuna Mudita Upekshanam Sukha Dukkha Punya Apunya Vishayanam. Very important sutra. Maitri Karuna Mudita Upekshanam Sukha Dukkha Punya Apunya Vishayanam. So Vishayanam means Vishayam. What is this Vishayam? He has discussed about 4 things. So he's saying these are the 4 things that I'm discussing here. What are the 4 things he's discussing? He's saying Maitri. Maitri means sense of friendliness, being friendly. Karuna means compassion. Karune, right? We say Karuna Murti means person full of compassion. Mudita. Mudita means internal joy. Upekshanam means disregard or ignore. So why is he saying all these four things? What is this to be applied to? It is following that. He's saying sukha. When there is sukham, apply friendliness to that. What is sukham?
Comfort.
Comfort. So this entire Sutra 132 is about moderation. Earlier I spoke when I gave you a summary of what we are going to see. I said we have to lead a life of moderation.
Moderation.
So this sutra is defining moderation. So when there is something very nice and comfortable, have a sense of friendliness with that. Don't go overboard. When something dukkha, when something sorrowful or misery is happening to you, when you feel sorrow or dukkha, some event has happened which makes you dukkha, gives you that sorrow, some death has happened in the family or some accident has happened to somebody. So have a sense of compassion to that feeling. Don't go into depression. Have a sense of compassion to that feeling. So these are all moderation. Please understand. Don't wail for days together. Don't cry for months together, either internally or externally. Have a sense of compassion to that dukkha. Punya. When virtuous things happen, when good things happen to you, have a sense of mudita. Have a sense of internal joy.
Internal joy.
Priya's mother is coming tomorrow to Tampa. Priya's mother, who has not visited her, let us say, for the last 5 years. She has also not seen her in the last 5 years. And suddenly her mother has decided to come. Mother and father, both of them have decided to come. What will be your state, Priya?
Yeah, I will be so much happy, excited.
Excited, jumping, cannot sleep in the night.
Yeah,
Will be in the airport 2 hours ahead of the flight landing.
yeah.
So Patanjali is saying, stop all that.
Mm.
Let the joy be internal. And as soon as they come to the front door, that's it. All hell will break loose.
Mm.
And this is exactly how we were brought up in our house. There was none of this drama. And with my wife, it is completely 180 degrees apart. If my wife leaves the house for 1 hour and comes back to her parents' place, the way they will greet each other, it look as if they have not seen them for years. So if a person is like that, if a person has been brought up like that, to get back to a life of moderation is very, very difficult. But it can happen with understanding and acceptance and abhyasa. Again, these are all abhyasa that one has to do. In our house, we don't have to have abhyasa for any of these things. Correct, Meena?
Correct.
Akka?
100%.
100% correct. In fact, we have to be told, please get excited.
Please.
Yeah.
So
Because
that is why I'm saying this
because
sutra is
that-
very, very
the
important.
example you told me is hasn't happened to you or what?
What is it?
The example that you told me of about the excitement hadn't happened to you.
No, excitement is internal. That is all I'm saying. The joy will be internal. It will never be jumping around, calling the entire world for a party immediately. My mother has come. My father has come. All of you come. And there won't be a big scene in front of the house or inside the house. Nothing will be there. The maximum that can happen in our house, if we have not seen our parents for years together, maybe a quiet hug. Maybe. That also only in the later stages, after my mother saw all this happening with my in-laws, she learned that stupid thing.
இவ்வளவு மெச்சூரா வளர்ந்துருக்கீங்களா குமார்?
In some parts, not in everything.
Are we Jadam?
Maybe. Jadam externally.
All Jadam.
See, the fact that for the last, I am almost 70 years old, for the last 70 years, the relationship between the siblings have remained the same is because of this moderation.
That's really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please understand,
Yeah.
otherwise there will be fight. We have never fought among the four. We have never fought for money. We have never fought for fame. We have rejoiced in each other's achievements in life. We have shared each other's dukkha. We have helped each other. That is what we have done. And that is why it is that
blessed.
bond is so strong even today. My brother is going to be 80 in maybe in a couple of years. My sister, my akka is inching towards that. I have to make sure that you are much older than me, akka. That people understand that. You have to think about this moderation. So even with all this moderation, why is that we are struggling? Why is that my akka, my sister, myself, my brother, everybody are struggling to understand and have the divine connectivity? Just because we practice this moderation, that alone is not enough. We didn't have abhyasa in other aspects of life. That alone did not stop the activations, because it was not done with great awareness. The external things stopped. The external things was never there, all the jumping around and all that. But internally, that struggle for when that suffering was there, it was not taken with compassion.
Compassion.
Okay, so this sutra is very, very important. That is why I'm spending a lot of time on that sutra. This sutra on moderation, this is a very important sutra on moderation. My 5-minute warning has come. So
How to be in moderation.
So he has explained. So you can have a life of moderation, you can do this abhyasa, all this. And then he throws a curveball. He says, or if you don't want to do this, if you don't want to lead a life of moderation, if you don't want to practice abhyasa, what can you do? He's giving another option. Or prachardana vidaranabhyam va pranasya. Pranasya comes from prana. Prana means the air that we breathe. The air that we breathe is not just going into the lungs and it is not the end of it. That air that we breathe is what is the prana. It is the vitality for the body. It is the vitality for the body. So he's saying prachardana means exhalation. Vidaranabhyam means holding of breath. So by proper techniques of pranayama, so you understand vidaranabhyam means holding of breath, meaning kumbhaka, right? Kumbhaka. How many of you don't know kumbhaka?
I don't know. No.
That means you are still not attending the classes that I asked you to do, Priya. So I'm going to bring a stick and beat all of you who are not attending. I'm saying you have to, it is not just listening to the sutra alone will take you anywhere. Please understand this very clearly. You have to attend the daily yoga class, whether it is in the morning or in the evening, or in the later in the evening, or midnight, I don't care. Whatever is convenient to you, you must attend this. And especially for people who are beginning, you must attend a live session, especially the first half an hour of every day of that session, whether it is in the evening or in the morning. First half an hour you must attend live, because of the chakra dhyana.
Chakra vibration.
Yes, chakra
Chakra
dhyana
dhyana.
you must do live, because it is adjusted based on each individual's blockage. Without that, you are not going to move forward. Please understand this very clearly. If you are not going to do any other abhyasa that I am asking you to do, you are not going to move forward. It is like how you studied in school, all 8 Surakai, all knowledge, but no practical experience. That is of no value. It will help you in when you meet people in social gathering, you can reel off some sutras and you can talk about some of these things. That's all you can do. It will not help you in your life. I'm being very blunt here, very, very blunt. And that is true for my sisters also. Every day you must attend this class, and full focus, with full focus, not just attending. It has to be with full focus. That involvement has to be there. It is a sadhana that you are doing for 1.5 hours. 1.5 hours is a long time every day when you do it. Full focus and commitment should be there in that. Secondly, you must do dhyana every day. Initially start with 5 minutes, doesn't matter. But quick, you have to get to at least 20 to 30 minutes of dhyana every day. It is a must. Without that, the chitta is not going to quiet. The chitta vritti is not going to quieten down. I promise you. You have to do that. Then you must go through the sutras every day, whatever we have covered so far. So you must set aside 1.5 hours for yoga class. You must set aside half an hour for dhyana. You must set aside at least half an hour for the sutras, studying the sutras. So I'm already talking about 2.5 hours, 3 hours minimum. If this is important to you, if you don't want to come back, if you don't want to struggle with life again, and next time you do not know whether you are going to be this fortunate to have such a good life. We are already complaining about the life that we are having. Yeah, there is no guarantee that the life is going to be this smooth next time around. So on this note, on this very, very strict warning, I'm going to end the class. And I also want you to ponder. Unless you do all this, all these sutras will have no effect, no meaning at all. And this has to be done forever until the divine connectivity happens. And then you will know what to do and what not to do. From next class, if I find only 2 people, that is fine. That's okay with me. But I want serious people who are really serious. Not here just to grab knowledge and walk away. No. This must make a change. There must be a transformation. If you want transformation, you have to work for it. So on that note, I am going to end the session. We will start with Sutra 34.
34.
You covered up to 33. But pay close attention to all these sutras. Sutra 133 will tell you about life of moderation. Very, 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 very important sutra. And for my sisters also, although we have done this physically, externally, we have done this sutra, moderation sutra. Internally, we have not done it. Please understand this very clearly. The entire Krompet family, please understand this.
Okay.
So warning to all of you also. You are not any better than others. So on that note, let us close the session. Next week, June 12th, I have an International Day of Yoga, and I'm one of the organizers, the committee, and I'm part of the committee. So I may not be able to handle the class because I have to get there. I have to get ready and get there early. So next week there is no class. But Tuesday, we have a tutorial this Tuesday. So bring all
Yes,
your
yes,
questions to the tutorial this Tuesday. 8:30, right? 8:30, correct?
Yes.
8:30 Eastern time.
Hmm.
6 o'clock a.m., 6 a.m. Wednesday for
India
in
time.
India.
Indian
time.
in India.
All right. It's 6:57. I have to wind up. Namaste to all of you. Thanks for coming.
Namaste. Thank you.
I will
Namaste,
see.
Kumar.
I will see
Thank
you.
you
All,
so
I will
much.
see you all in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra session 2 weeks from now. And tutorial this Tuesday or Wednesday morning. Namaste.
Namaste, Kumar.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.